Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I'm here with Crack That Vault collab hosted by Poetspice. It is a monthly collab, and the premise of the collab is that we are to open up our craft vault or our craft stash and pick supplies that we have not used in 6 months or longer and create a project. There are a number of talented ladies who are participating in the collab, and I do have links for all of their channels listed below in the description box, along with more information about the collab. So be sure to open up the description box to check that out. And for this month, I decided that I was going to pull out a cutting die that I had never used. And so as I was going through my stash, trying to figure out what I wanted to make for this collab, I came across this one, and it's a film and slide cutting die. And so I thought, well, it'd be fun. I've been wanting to make like slides with decorations on them and acetate and stamping on them. So I pulled out my acetate and my inks and my rubber stamps, and then I went to town and tried to stamp on the acetate. And unfortunately, none of the inks that I had that said they were permanent did not work on the acetate. I tried to heat them, and I ended up like wrinkling and melting the acetate. And so it was a hot mess. And so I had to scratch that idea because at that point I was kind of frustrated, but I had already spent all this time cutting out this cutting die along with a couple more for similar things that I wanted to show you guys. And so I thought, well, it's time for plan B. And so I did want to show you what the die looked like cut out. And for the project that I'm going to share with you guys, I did cut out this piece right here with the scissors. I decided not to use that. I just wanted the big open square like a frame. And so I did create these fun little like embellishments that I'm going to add to packaging, but you could also easily add them to a junk journal. And for these ones, what I did is I just put one little eyelet in the corner. And you could see on this one, I did go ahead and add a gourd pin, because that's how I will hang it. I do like to add something to my packaging when I do Happy Mail or give out gifts. And I will go ahead and probably add a charm and a pearl to this, maybe a tag. But until I know who I'm giving it to, I'm not going to add that stuff. But I did layer up some scratch paper in the background, you know, leftover scrap paper, a couple of doilies, you know, leftover doilies. And then I also chose for my stash that I hadn't used in 6 months or more, these pretty little ribbon roses that are kind of a vintage color. So I made 4 of these. This one I did take it a step further, and I did the little like messy stitching on this side. This one I decided to add 2 eyelets on the top instead of just the one, just to see what it would look like if I added a ribbon up at the top for hanging. And then this other one, again, they're all very similar. And then I also cut out one in black. And so for this one, I decided to add, since the acetate thing didn't work for me, I added vellum. I was going through my scraps trying to figure out what to put in some of these things that I hadn't used before, and I came across vellum. So I thought, well, that's perfect, and I liked the look of that. So after that, that kind of gave me some ideas for some of the other cutting dies that I cut out, and I pulled out more vellum, again, that I hadn't worked with for a long time in my stash. So the next one that I wanted to share with you, I chose this My Favorite Things Polaroid shaker frame. If I have used this die, it's only been once, but it's been a long time. And so that was the next couple that I wanted to share with you. And for that, I pulled out some vellum that had flowers on it. This is the lighter parts of the flowers. It was a bunch of squares. And the leftover, which I didn't use these lighter ones, but I did use the darker colored ones. And so I did punch those out and add them to the frames. And what I love about these is, again, you can see the back side of them, which is the look I was going for. And I added some flowers up in the corner of a couple of these. I had 3 flowers left. I don't know if you guys have purchased in the past, long time ago, those from the dollar bins and Michael's, those flower sets. That's where these came from. And so I used the last 3 that I had. And I also stamped at the bottom. And I'm still thinking if I want to add these to packaging and not use them in a junk journal, I can still add an eyelet and hang them off of something. So that was the first one. There's the second one. There's the third one. And I also added eyelash trim behind these. And then here was the last two that I used. And these ones I didn't decorate yet. I didn't have any flowers that were kind of this pinkish color. So I'll decorate those later once I know what I'm going to use them for. Then the last cutting die that I pulled out with kind of with a similar intention of using is from We Are Memory Keepers, and they had these two frames in this set, and it was, I think the set was called Frames. And so I did use those two to make two different things. And those ones, the bigger one, instead of using it this way, which is how I think it was supposed to be meant, like a Polaroid, I flipped it on its side because I thought I wanted to use these in journals. And so I did use some decorative handmade paper that bought a long time ago. And I still had some scraps left of that, and I hadn't used it in a long time. And then I also had some more vellum that I hadn't used. And so I did create this one, and then I added the little gold embellishment die cut in the corner. And so again, you can see the back side. And this one, what I did with this same paper is I made a flap because I'm thinking I can add it to a journal page, which is why I did the orientation this way, to make it a cute little flap. And then you'll still have something behind here, like if you journaled or something on your page, you could still see behind it. And I thought that was kind of fun. So I made that one. And then I also made this one thinking you could just stick this in a pocket. And this one had just slightly different vellum on it. And then I added some more of those gold die cuts. And then what's nice about these ones is I could do the reverse image because I had the reverse image die cuts on these ones. And the paper that I used, again, it was, you know, vellum and scrap. This was scrap paper, handmade scrap paper that I had in my stash from a long time ago. But there was the vellum, what was left of what I had. And then the little gold embellishments were from a decoupage set from Martha Stewart that I picked up a long time ago from Tuesday Morning for 99 cents. And I picked up a couple of these packages, and it's been at least a year since I've used these, so I did use those. And then probably the last thing that I'm going to share with you today is probably my favorite. So I used that other smaller We Are Memory Keepers frame, and I created these, and I just adore how these turned out. Again, thinking you could use it as an embellishment in your journal, but I'm going to use it on packaging. And I used snowflake vellum, and then I decorated with a flower and then a couple of snowflake buttons in the sides. Just a slightly different flower and snowflake buttons on these ones. And then I did one also in white. I'm definitely going to make some more of these. I think they were really fun. I wish I had more of that snowflake vellum. Here is the scrap of vellum that I had left. But I am thinking you could stamp on vellum in white and emboss it and get the same look. So I might try that next. And then also for this one, the embellishments, I chose to use the snowflakes. They came in this jar of like random buttons that my mom picked up for me a long time ago at a rummage sale. And so I used the snowflakes from there. And again, it's been a long time since I haven't used anything from this jar. So that was another item from my stash that's been in my stash for 6 months or longer and I haven't used. So thanks again, everybody, so much for watching today's episode. Hopefully I'll see you back next month for another episode. Until then, have a wonderful day and happy crafting.